Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic for medical coding to understand what are levels of anatomy. Okay, so in this session, we will be mainly focusing what are level of anatomy, why it is important to understand for as a medical coder. So these are the all things that we will be discussing in upcoming session. But before we start with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequencing. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on levels of anatomy. But prior to that, you should know what is anatomy, what are the basic things that we learn about medical coding like prefix, suffix and other things. And for these sequential content, you can also refer the free book which is available in the description box. Like you will find there Tech Sharmit Digital Course Book, which contains 3000 plus free resources overall. Also it contains a particular tab for medical coding, so you can just simply watch it, and it is available in both Hindi as well as English language. So as per your convenience, you can consume the content. Okay. Alright, so let's get started. Here you can see we are going to talk about levels of anatomy, and in our last session we talked about what is anatomy. So I'm sure that those who have already covered that thing, now they are good to go ahead and understand the levels of anatomy. So see, here I have prepared the notes which will help you to answer the questions in interviews as well as exams, and it will also help you to recall and revise the concepts. Okay. So first question comes like this: what are levels of anatomy? So if someone asks you what are levels of anatomy, so you can simply answer that levels of anatomy describe how deeply we study the human body. Okay, so when we are studying the human body, then what are the level, like how deeply we are learning it? Are we learning it from the top of view, or maybe from the larger view, or we are studying it in a very detailed manner, or in a very deep manner? So that thing will be considered by looking at the levels of anatomy, like how we are actually looking at the human body, how we are actually studying the human body. Okay, so that is why we are giving just one simple statement that levels of anatomy describe how deeply we study the human body, and it mainly it means like looking at the body from the large visible part to down to tiny microscopic part. Okay, so you can see these two terms: from large visible part, when you want to see when you want to study the human body from the larger part, and second thing is down to tiny microscopic part. Let's say if there are some disease or some scenarios where we are supposed to study the tiny microscopic part, then that is also considered as one of the level of anatomy. Okay, so overall we have two things: from larger visible part to tiny microscopic part. Okay, now to understand this thing, like what is levels of anatomy, we can do one thing, like we can just try to relate it with some human with some real world example. Okay, or maybe a layman terminology or analogy. So just think of a building. Okay, we have one building. Then in that case, you can compare that entire building, the whole building, with a human body, and we have separate layers, right? Like we have rooms in the building, then we have walls, then we have bricks. So you can see you can clearly understand the levels. Okay, somewhere we are talking about the rooms, somewhere we are talking about the walls and bricks. So these all comes under a layers of that building. Okay, so likewise anatomy studies the body in the same step-by-step layers. Okay, let's say someone is if someone is studying the human body, so someone is looking at studying the human body from the larger visible part. Okay, then in that case, like let's say firstly we are focusing on heart, then its walls and veins and other basic stuff. So these are all layers. Okay, so studying step by step the human body according to the layers is considered as the levels of anatomy. So I think with this definition is quite clear, like what are the levels of anatomy. Now we will try to understand why this matters in medical coding. Okay, why it is important in medical coding. So it is important because medical terms in reports may refer to different levels. Okay, so let's say some patients are suffering from a disease that comes in a different level, right? So in that situation, what doctors will do, like, or medical professionals will do, like, they will use some medical terminology in the reports that may refer to the different levels. So in that case you should know, right? Otherwise how you will do the coding? And that is why we are saying that coders must understand the what level the doctor is talking about. Okay, and then only it will be helpful for you as a medical coder to do the proper coding using those information. Okay, so these are the two important reasons because of which we are going to study the different levels of anatomy in a detailed manner. Okay, now moving ahead, we will talk about why beginners must learn levels of anatomy. Okay, so if we particularly talk, let's say if someone is working in this field of medical coding as a beginner or as a fresher or intern, right? So why it is important for them to learn these things in detailed manner? So first thing is, doctors document conditions at different body level. Okay, so doctors are studying documenting the things at different body level. So that is why it is important to understand each and every level. Then only you will be able to decode then you will be able to do the proper coding of that particular medical document. Second thing is, coding book always include terms from all level, and we are sure that we are going to use some coding book, right? To do the coding. Those who are into the medical coding, they know that we use couple of books to do the coding. So in that book also you will find the medical terminology which is available from different all levels. Okay, so that is why it is important to learn about the levels of anatomy. Then we have third thing, understanding levels helps you to read report confidently. So if you know the anatomy levels, all levels of anatomy, then it is very important and easy for you to read reports confidently. Second thing is, it avoid confusion between similar terms. So sometimes we see that in medical coding there are multiple terms that sound similar. So there you will not find any confusion if you know about each level in a very detailed way. Okay, so just to avoid the confusion between the similar terms, it's better to know about all level of anatomy. Okay, and third very important thing is, choose the accurate code. So when you want to choose the accurate code, then also it is required to know about the all levels of the anatomy. So these are some pointers I think that will help you to understand why it is so important to learn about the different levels of anatomy. Now one very important thing I have pinned here, that is, you don't memorize everything, you understand how things are organized, because in medical coding we are going to learn so many things, right? You know that we have learned hundreds of prefix, suffixes, root words, right? So you are not supposed to learn or memorize everything, but you should understand how things are organized, because once you know how things are organized, then you can easily do the coding with the help of the reference material and other thing. Okay, fine. Now in the upcoming session we are going to take one part of like, there are mainly levels of anatomy is categorized in two parts. First is gross anatomy and second one is microscopic anatomy. So particularly if we talk about the medical coders, so mostly they do the coding on the basis of gross anatomy, but that doesn't mean like they shouldn't know about the microscopic anatomy. They should know about both of these, but basic awareness for this and detailed awareness for the gross anatomy is needed. Okay, so that is why in upcoming session we will talk about these two types of levels of anatomy in detail with proper examples and everything. Okay, fine. So now there is one question for today for all of you, because we take one question in every session, because that will only help you to recall the concepts on a timely manner. So today's question is, why anatomy matters for a medical coders? So you have to answer this question in a very short manner. Just share your knowledge in the comment section so that those who don't know the answer, they can refer it from the comments itself. And if you know the answer, if you don't know the answer, you can refer the previous session. There we have already discussed this thing in detail. So it will help you to understand things properly. Clear? So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.